right here is the front of the airplane, starting from the front where the front turret would have been. There's the pilot's seat. We'll turn around and see the instrument panel. And we're going to work our way back here. You see the aft tail section of this aircraft. Alright, that's this container here. The next thing we're going to check out is two other containers that have some various parts and pieces in it. And then we're going to move on and show you the center section and the outer wing panels, and also some pieces that we have in the shop that are going through some cleanup. So let's go check that out. Alright, let's go check out the last two containers that have some pieces inside of here. This is one of the containers that is marked as no good. We're going to have to pull most of everything out of here and rebox it. But let's take a look. This one's a little on the messy side. We've actually pulled a few things out of here already that we've started to clean up. This container was so bad I actually had to use a sledgehammer to open up this door the other day because it was actually rusted in position. And you can see the floor in this container all eaten up. There's areas in the back that are eaten up, and so this stuff has to come out of here. But basically what's in here, starting with the piece, this is actually the rear, very rear canopy portion on the Lancaster, where the crew can actually look behind them. The Lancaster has a very unique canopy structure, very iconic to the airplane, and that's the rear section piece. What's interesting about this piece, a lot of people don't realize it, is that all the bow structure pieces in this are actually wood. All these frame pieces in here are laminated wood, and then the plexiglass is attached to it. Boy, this would be a good Ken project, wouldn't it? Ken would just be all over this thing, making these pieces all over again, so that would be cool. But it's all there. It's a good pattern. All the brackets are in there. The glass is there to use if you had to make a mold. But that is that piece right there. Alright, some of the other pieces that are in this container are the two rudders. You can see them here, which actually are in very good condition. Somebody actually marked them as okay. Those are very nice components. Some stuff in here that are in these crates, I'm not even sure what's in them yet. We're going to pull those out, open them all up so we can check them for corrosion or any other issues. Clarence is in the shop right now cleaning up some of the pieces that we're finding that have some light corrosion on them. So eventually we're going to pull that stuff out, pull these crates out, and start looking at some of that. Other items in this container are some oil tanks, and then way in the back, what encompasses most of this container are the engine firewall forward components, everything that the engine attaches to. All four of those units are in here. They're stacked in the back of the container, and they are actually in very, very nice condition. I'm surprised. As bad as some of these containers are, I'm actually very surprised at the condition of the airplane. It's actually fared fairly well with some of these components. So at some point, as we work very slowly towards it, we're going to start pulling some of this stuff out and start putting it into a better container, checking everything out, make sure that there aren't any corrosion problems going on with these pieces. Another thing I noticed inside of this container is sitting on the floor to the right here. I couldn't figure out what this was eventually, but this is actually brand new spar material for the wings or the center section, because I looked at those. We'll look at those later and you'll see this is actually new material that somebody had made up to make new spars. Now the center section looks like the spars are fine, and actually the wings look fine too, so I'm not sure. Maybe they thought they were going to need it down the road, so they purchased this for the project. But those pieces are sitting here. Those have to come out and get checked and get cleaned up if they have any corrosion, and put back in better storage. So that's this container. Let's go check out the last one, and then we'll move on to some of the bigger components. I'm going to finish up with the last container. Close that one up. And this container marked okay, but we're probably going to transfer this maybe to a different container also. So let's check that out. Let's open this up. This one has some big components in it. And what you see here are, first thing that's very noticeable, are the wingtips. Now look at the size of those things. You could build a small airplane out of those things right there. Also, the flaps are in this container. These little flap nacelle pieces that hang off the flaps. 2 of those are in here. And what's on these stands, these are actually big engine stands, big overhaul stands, and they actually utilize these, and they actually attached the engine mount for all the Rolls-Royce Merlins. Those are all in here. They're all attached to these little beautiful original stands. They're all stacked in back there, so that's nice to see all those. And they're also sitting on top of those. The leading edge to the center section are all stacked in there. And then running right down the center of all this is the horizontal stabilizer, which is another huge piece. I think actually it's in, yeah, I think it's 2 components. They're all laying inside of there. And then behind that, another trailing edge piece to the center section are laying up against the wall there. This container is pretty good. It's pretty dry, but I think we're going to take some of the stuff out, make sure it's okay, treat it for corrosion, spray everything down, and maybe place it into another container. So that's basically everything that's in the containers. Let's go check out the center section and outer wing panels. Those pieces actually arrived with the project years ago, and they were too big to actually put into a container, and they actually had big, huge crates that they were built to hold these pieces. I remember when I came to the property, this is when I was still living in Miami, and we were moving things back and forth from Miami. They came up here and they had been unloaded, and they were actually sitting out on the property here, and we had to transport them, and we actually had to disassemble the crates to get the pieces out because they were so big. Those have been placed in bay number 1, and they've been in there for years, so those have been a nice dry storage. But let's go check out those pieces. Alright, let's check out bay number 1, where we have the center section and the 2 outer wing panels for the Lancaster.
Man, I haven't been in here in a while. Lots of projects.
Lots of parts.
Oh, so here's
these are the
outer
wing
panels. Okay.
Yeah, outer wing panels, and also the
Top cowling.
Top cowling pieces.
Okay.
Those were also with in the container that was starting to get some leakage issues. I pulled those out. These are not in very good shape though. They're pretty rough actually. I had to remake a lot of those. I'm not sure what happened to these pieces, but they're
might have just taken some flak damage.
Yeah,
with the
something
roof.
they've been in moisture and stuff. But the wings themselves are.
God dang, that thing just ends right there. Look at this.
Yeah, it's got some big spars. And you do have the new spar material that came with the project. There's 4 big lengths of aluminum. So I don't know if they were contemplating that maybe the wings or the center section had corrosion. It's hard to tell. You know,
Got a stamp right there.
Yeah. But of course you wouldn't know until you get into it. I know they're finding on
oh my God,
the other airplane in the UK that they're working on, the French airplane, that they've drilled all that apart and they found corrosion all on the spar and everything. That airplane was in some pretty poor conditions, so it's hard to say what.
So this is the left wing. That's the right one. So number 3 engine goes here and 4 goes there. Okay. Cool. Okay. Mixed in with PBY and B-17 parts.
Actually, those are short Sunderland.
Oh, those are Sunderland.
Short Sunderland vertical fins, I believe.
Oh my God.
Or horizontals, I'm not quite sure.
JU-52 wings.
2 wings.
All sorts of cool parts.
So there's the center section. You can see a lot of the skins have been removed from this, and what appears to me, it looks like it has been cleaned and painted. This all looks like fresh primer and everything. I think they were starting to reskin some of that section up there. Those that are all riveted on. The side pieces are loose, so they were in the process of working on it.
Yeah, this all looks like they were ready to start putting some stuff back together.
I mean, some of this would have to come back out again.
Oh my God!
I've looked at it several times, and it looks really nice.
Yeah. Wonder what they held there. Hold something down there.
Yeah. Maybe some of the coolant lines and stuff that run back in.
Yeah, this looks. This looks pretty damn nice. They're probably ready to put some skins back on
it. Yeah.
So I guess to get through the airplane, you got to crawl over the main and rear spar.
To crawl over the main spar. I've been inside the Canadian airplane,
Yeah.
but I've never actually been inside one.
What got the worst damage in the hangar collapse?
It appears to me that the two aft tail sections must have suffered the most. From what I can understand, I mean, it's hard to tell, but since they must have been so bad that they actually took components from another airplane, they must have been pretty bad.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty bad. This is where all those fuel tanks go.
Right.
The center section gets two huge tanks inside of it. It's all the strapping for the tanks.
Huh. Are there tanks out in the outer panels as well?
Yes, there are.
Yeah,
tanks
okay.
in the outer panels.
Yeah, this is not an insurmountable project. This seems like it's pretty much there. We got some spares.
Yep.
Cool. Anybody want to donate $15 million? We'll get started.
My estimate was 10.
Your estimate was 10?
I was saying 10. The thing really to do with the airplane, if you were going to do it, would be, if you were going to try to speed it up, would be to piece it out. Pick certain parts you want to do here, but then farm out the tail here, the engines there, and give everybody a timeline.
But the other $5 million was for a hangar to put it in, which we don't have.
So. We'll make some room for it. If you were going to restore Lancaster, we'd squeeze it in somewhere.
Okay. Leading edges?
PBY.
PBY,
That's all
okay.
PBY.
Yeah, we don't know. We're not looking at PBY, so we're not looking at PBY.
And the turret, the mid turret is back there. Before I moved the containers back, I moved the mid turret is over there, which is a complete turret.
Huh.
Which is different than the.
Yeah, so we've got the material to make all these, but these all look fine.
I think they're fine. I think maybe they were thinking maybe the outer wing panels.
Right.
Needed it,
Okay. This is kind of like a Martin.
Yeah, all the Canadian built airplanes were that type of turret. The British built airplanes had.
Right. Is this a Canadian turret or American?
It's an American turret, I believe.
It's probably, is that a Martin 250?
I'm not sure,
But I believe it is. Bendix or something?
I believe it is an American design and built turret.
Huh.
One of the
Oh
main
my God.
differences.
There's so many cool tools in here at some point I'd love to get going. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right, well, cool. Appreciate the effort. It's nice to get caught up seeing everything.
We moved the engines, all the lower cowl pieces, we pulled those out too.
Okay.
Those are all sitting here because they were suffering too. They
Yeah.
were right next to the engines. And so I put those in here years ago.
Good.
Not too bad. It's a little rough
That looks like
though.
termites.
Termites. Yeah, they're eating these pounds. Yeah, at some point. The termites never got bad in these bays, but there are a few areas where the termites did migrate. I'm always in here watching for broken pallets and stuff, but so far they haven't caused too much damage.
All right, well, good job.
All right, everybody, it's been a couple of weeks now that we've been working on the Lancaster inventory, going through the parts, checking for corrosion, making sure that everything is there. And originally, the parts encompassed about, I think it was about 8 or 9 containers actually, but we've been able to narrow it down to about 5 containers, which you see here behind me. We moved a lot of things into 2 really good containers that we had other things stored in, which are really nice and dry. The 3 remaining containers, which we have over here, are some of the original containers that was in. We checked those out. They're pretty decent. Eventually we may move them out of there, but for right now we're going to retain those in there. And at that point, we kind of ran out of room, so the remaining pieces ended up on the mezzanine in the south hangar. Let's take a look at those parts.
Oh my God, looks like we got a bunch of stuff moved.
Find room for it somewhere.
Oh my God, yeah. We got all sorts of stuff here. So everything's kind of out that needs to come out. We got, how many containers we got left that are good?
Everything is into 5 containers.
Okay.
2 of those are really good. 3 are not too bad. And then the overflow ended up on the mezzanine.
Yeah, okay. And this is what, like 2 or 3?
Actually, it's 3 containers worth.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 3
Huh.
containers worth of stuff. Yeah.
Good. And so everything, you know, as needed, it's been kind of sprayed and looked at. And
Yeah, we looked at everything. There's a few boxes that we couldn't get into. Some of the big stuff that at some point we can open up and get more in depth in. There's a couple big orange, big wooden boxes in one of the crates that you just can't open because there's stuff on top of it. At some point, if we pull it out, we can.
Those are like skins and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's skins.
Yeah, okay.
I never saw
Old
the.
skins.
I never saw the vertical fins, so I'm assuming they're in one of those boxes. They must be.
Okay.
The rest of it end up here.
Good. So, is that a turret?
It's a
for
turret.
The line?
There's a full turret that came out of the airplane, which I put in bay number 1. This is a spare, I guess. that
Okay.
was in there. There's actually an NOS wheel in that box there. The wheel. You have actually 4
Oh, that's a main wheel.
main wheel. You have 4 main wheels for the airplane.
Cool.
Yeah, all there. The 2 outboard firewall forwards are sitting here. This portion actually attaches into the wing, and so this is the forward section of the firewall. This is the inboard portion of the firewall.
These the inboard, outboard.
These are the outboards.
Okay, so the inboard's probably connected to the gear somehow.
Yeah, they are, and they're sitting over there. You can see the inboards because they have that big structure attached to them, and that structure is what the landing gear piece is attached to, which are all here.
Oh my God.
Those all had some light corrosion on them. They look pretty decent. I've talked to a few people, said those are really, make sure those are kept in good shape because somebody had some of those made and very costly
Oh my
to
God.
have those made.
How many radiators did we end up
There's 4 radiators that are with the QECs. That's just some ignition parts for the engine. And then you ended up with 2, what these are called are tropical radiators. They're bigger ones because I guess they flew the Lancaster in high temp areas. You have 2 of those, and then you actually have 2 regular, look like NOS radiators that are created.
So we got 6 normal radiators.
Yes, 6 normal radiators and 2 of these.
Awesome.
Yeah, the wooden crates have a lot of miscellaneous,
Yeah, this is
tubing
damaged
and
stuff out
Yeah,
of
that's
it.
some of the stuff out of the cockpit that must have got damaged in the accident. And,
I wonder if that was a previous repair or part of the original design.
so-
Huh. Stuff here. It's just, these are pretty monstrous.
Yeah, they're pretty massive components there.
So the gear goes up inside.
yeah,
there.
those gear points attach into here. They come down. That's what the main gear attaches to. All this stuff's in really nice shape.
Huh. This
Yeah.
probably goes to the rear spar.
Yeah, I think it goes to the rear
Main
spar.
spar.
Yeah.
The 2 tail sections that were basically, primed. They'd stripped everything,
Yep.
but they primed them, fixed most of the skins that I saw. Those were potentially, or one part was from a different airplane. I mean, there's things got
Yeah, things got shifted around. I think when the hangar collapsed on it, I think those 2 sections were so badly damaged. That's when I believe they ended up purchasing, I think it's KB974. It was another Lancaster fuselage that came out of Canada. And they had taken those, they continued the restoration with those pieces. But those damaged pieces from 976, our airplane, still survive. In fact, the tail section is with the Lincolnshire group. Just Jane. I think they have that tail section piece that they're working on, yeah.
This Lank group is very incestuous. That's what. But the cockpit section, is that from the original deal, or that also got fixed?
No, I think that's the original piece from
Okay.
976, yeah.
Okay. Huh.
Things got a little muddy there.
Yeah, here it says Nimrod aileron
Yeah,
port.
that's an old box off of
But now it went from a Nimrod port to a Lancaster part. Okay, so this has the main center section, which is in the first bay over there, and we got wing tips.
Yeah,
There's an outer section outside of like number 1 and 4, and then there's sections that are from the fuselage out for the engines.
You mean from the engines? There's
Yeah.
the center section, which encompasses the 2 inboard engines.
Oh, it does.
It does. It does.
okay,
And then these are the trailing edge pieces to
For
the
the-
center section.
Okay, for 1 and 4.
Yeah, they bolt to the back. There's a series of threaded studs that come out of the center section that bolts to.
That looks overhauled.
Yeah, both main landing gear undercarriage units, as the British call them. They don't call it landing gear, it's undercarriage units. Those are both overhauled, as is the tail posting.
Yes, in World War II, the United States wasn't using carriages anymore. You know, in England they
They have
still
different
were.
terms. They have different
Yeah,
terms.
yeah.
But yeah, that's yellow tag certified part.
That's the tail wheel?
That's the tail wheel post. Yeah, yeah.
Holy
There's nothing
moly.
small on the Lancaster.
Oh my
Nothing at
God.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, including the price tag to rebuild one.
Yeah, that's for sure. But all the engine QECs are all back there.
Okay. Oh, all four of them. Okay.
Yeah, all four of them are there, and the leading edge pieces you
Yeah.
see, those are the center section leading edge components. That's what those are.
Okay, I see.
They're
Yeah, so
like-
that's just the stub that goes out. The bolts
Exactly.
2 and
And
3.
of course, right next to that is the
God,
canopy section laying up against the
these
wall.
are
over there.
way bigger than a B-17 tire, as I remember.
They're big. Yeah, they're big. Lancaster sits up pretty high, but yeah, I don't know how big a 17 wheel is, but it's
Huh.
a little bit smaller than a Lancaster. But you have 5 tires. They all look pretty decent, actually.
Yeah, they do. I mean, you know, I don't know what the... And they're all, got 4 looks like the same, and one with a different little tread
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Huh. Cockpit
Yeah, the
section.
canopy piece. There's actually 2 pieces to that.
Yeah,
There's a,
one goes in the back.
yeah, there's a rear section piece. That's in one of the bays. And what's interesting is that rear section piece has a wood structure in it. Yeah, there's actually wood bows behind it that make up part of it. Yeah,
Really?
as do some of the flap and nacelle pieces have wood structure in them. Yeah, I didn't
Huh.
even know that about the Lancaster. That there's actually wood in it, but there's a few pieces that have that as a.
So these basically look like they just basically pulled them off. and
Yeah,
haven't
there's
done
no work
anything
that has
with
been
them.
done to those. Those are all intact. They haven't taken anything off of them.
You know, I saw this airplane at Strath Allen in, I think the auction was in 1981. And I'd only been collecting airplanes since 79. I bought the T6, then I bought the Mustang in 79. And I went over there with the intent to buy the Mosquito, you know? And I remember seeing the Lancaster there, and Sir Willie didn't want to sell that. But then later, you know, because I had the connection by buying the Mosquito there, when they had the World Aerobatic Championship at South Cerny, we practiced at Strath Allen. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember, Sir Willie he had still been around, but anyway, so we practiced there. That was pretty cool. But when I went over to buy the Mosquito and I saw this there, my focus was the Mosquito. I don't know
Yeah.
why I was looking at the Mosquito. And at the time, you know, I didn't have a Spitfire, I didn't have a Hurricane, and he had a Hurricane for sale, and everybody showed up to buy the Hurricane. Everybody had their wallets ready, but the Mosquito went first, which I bought for 100,000 pounds at the time. That was 1.3, so it was $130,000 I bought the Mosquito for. And then all of a sudden at the end, they said, oh, we're not going to sell the Hurricane because Sir Willie, no, they said you're going to have to basically, you have to sell it because it was in the auction.
Yeah.
So he bid on it and he bought it back, and then he had to pay the auction company whatever their
Yeah,
deal was. And I
that
think
was-
it sold for, probably 260,000 pounds or something like that, but it was a pretty deal. So everybody was pissed off,
Yeah.
and they said, hell, if I known we weren't going to be able to buy the Hurricane, we would have bought the Mosquito. anyway, so I ended up with the Mosquito. So this looks like it was part of something that it was bolted on.
Yeah, and
then
I don't
they
know what
just-
happened to that engine stand. The other 3 on beautiful QEC engine stands, and then the 4th one.
Okay, yeah, this
Someone
yeah.
blowtorched this one apart, and I
Yeah,
don't know
okay.
why that
I
happened.
see.
It's very strange as to what happened to that stand. I don't know if it was a victim of the hangar collapse and they had to cut
Yeah.
it free or something.
Huh.
Another strange thing about the wingtips, if you look at both wingtips, they both have the exact identical damage. It's like they were off the airplane and
Oh, yeah.
a beam or something landed on both of them, and it did the same damage to the nav light.
Oh
not
my
the nav
God!
light,
And this was, as I recall or learned from something, this thing, they were working on the roof, but
That's
then there
right.
was some additional snow.
Yeah,
And
I didn't know they were actually doing maintenance on the roof, and then I
Okay.
guess there was some snow involved, and that's when the accident happened. Apparently, and unfortunately, from what I understand from one of the earlier posts that somebody on Facebook, that someone got killed in the accident.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, what a sad deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I learned about it basically at Strathallan, and then I knew Charles Church purchased it, and then he unfortunately got killed in an accident in the Spitfire, and I ended up buying at some point. I think I bought 3 Spitfire projects from him: PL344, the one that we got, TE476 or something like that, and then there was a project, and I just kept the one, the Mark 16. Then we found out about the Lank deal or whatever, but by that time Doug Arnold had purchased it, but then Doug had passed away, and I think I bought it through Mike Woodley. I think was the dealer, but I think Dave Arnold signed the bill of sale. So but I would have seen it at Strathallan. I remember visiting Doug Arnold at Blackbush one time. I don't remember if the Lank was there or not. Probably not. I don't. Do you remember when Doug Arnold passed away?
No.
Yeah, but anyway, so for some reason I'm thinking it was 04 or something like that, or 02. Anyway, when I purchased the airplane, I never looked at it. I just did the deal because what I ended up paying for it, seemed pretty reasonable. I knew it had some damage, and what ended up happening was part of the deal was the price was the Lincoln as well. I mean, I looked at this thing. No, I must have gone over and looked at it. I know I looked at the project because I remember seeing the Lincoln, and I'm going, "Oop."
There you go.
Yeah, it wants some attention.
It wants some attention.
It wants some attention. So I remember seeing the Lincoln. So I would have gone over. I would have seen it. I would have cut a deal. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this Lincoln thing. So what I ended up doing was, I think as a buyer, as a seller deal with Mike Woodley, I think I just gave him the Lincoln. And I don't know what happened to the rest of it, but I know the fuselage ended up with Peter Jackson. And then I loaned the turrets off of this, which they still have, because he wanted to do the Dam Buster film. And I remember I walked in one time. It was one of my first visits there, and Peter was showing me around. And we walked in, and there was all these big parts, but they were like made out of foam and sheet metal over them and something. And he says, I'll bet you can't guess what this is. And I think I blew him when I said, yeah, it looks like you're building some Lancasters and you're going to do the Dam Busters film. And it was a total secret at the time. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, so, Peter, I know at some point put together, I think, 10 of them. I saw one down at the shop there in Wellington that was, from 20 feet away, you couldn't tell it wasn't real. Yeah. The only thing you could tell was the fact they had a chain drive going down to the deal, and they had electric motors that would spin it. You could turn the props, and then the guy in the cockpit could drive it like a tank, so the 2 main gears could do that. And they built, I think, 10 of them. The one they may have done on site, and they were fiberglass and blah blah blah. But they ended up, I think the rest of them might have been built in China. I don't know where the other 9 ended up, but it was my understanding. And he did a little bit of tease filming with them, but I think ultimately he wanted to buy this airplane, and I said no, not really. But I loaned him the turrets, so they put the 2 turrets that I loaned him off the Lank on the fuselage that they kind of mocked up to look like a Lank from the Lincoln. I don't know what happened to the wings and stuff, but anyway, I think hopefully they did their filming, because at some point, the deal was to have them for 3 years. They've been there for probably 15 years, 12 years. So anyway, we'll see. Well, this is cool. What else have we got around the corner here? So what's all this boxed
The
stuff?
cardboard boxes up here are the 4 spinners.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're boxed up really nice and safe. They're beautiful.
Cool. So they've been restored, or?
Not, they've been paint stripped.
Okay,
and looked
okay,
at,
but they look good.
Yeah, they look good. And then the two wooden boxes, one here and one there, those are all your propeller blades.
Wow.
Yeah, which are all there, complete. Some of the propeller blades we had to rebox as we went to move. They were wrapped in, they were in a big cardboard box, and the box disintegrated. So we took all that out.
Good.
And reboxed it because they had suffered a little bit of rust and stuff. We cleaned them up and sprayed them down. And put them in there. And I believe in this crate is the second undercarriage leg.
Okay.
Just overhauled.
Huh.
Some miscellaneous.
And very early on, we pulled the engines out and we took them across the street. They were all sprayed.
That's the first thing I noticed. They were in one of the bays, one of the containers, and they were starting to get surface corrosion on. I pulled those things out of there like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah,
because they weren't doing good in there at all.
All right, well, good. Well, this is great. At least these are, you know, all the stuff has been looked at. So, from your perspective, you're still looking for vertical stabilizers?
Yeah, I think at some point, if we down the road, if we end up with some room
Right.
in the children's center or whatever, some extra storage, or if we end up building another building, or buy another container, we can pull some of that other stuff that's in there and open up those other boxes and take a look. And
Cool.
I'm going to assume that they're probably in there, along with a lot of the skins that have been removed.
All
But,
right.
yeah, it's safer. We know it's all there. You know, it hadn't suffered. Actually, I was surprised how well it did in the containers. 'Cause some
Yeah,
containers
yeah,
were
me too.
really,
I was just getting
really
worried,
bad.
you know, looking at some of them in the deal there.
Yeah.
And they were just over there in a place where we didn't anticipate the water
Yeah.
running, and, you know, that didn't help things.
Didn't
So,
help things at all.
anyway, so that was good. So all the containers have been looked at. You know,
Yes.
we pulled out the Nardi, we pulled out the P47, we pulled out the Spit 14,
The Yak 9.
Yak 9.
Everything is inside and
Good.
safe, and some stuff on display. We also talked about maybe some point down the line taking that one finished aft tail section and maybe
Yeah.
putting that on display
Yeah.
in the museum. Should
Yeah.
be cool for people to see.
Yeah, good.
And maybe the cockpit, if we're able to find the skins to the cockpit section, maybe we
Yeah.
can kind of tack it together and put the canopy on it. Maybe down the road,
Yeah,
something
but
to
even
put
if
on
one
display.
side's open, they could see inside of it. So, kind of like what maybe we're going
Possibility.
to do
Have
with it.
Dave make up a proper stand for
Yeah,
it so they
cool.
can roll it around.
Good. Okay. Yeah, so I know everybody's fascinated by, you know, when are we going to get started on this thing? And, you know, right now I'm basically focusing on trying to create a concept and a product that I believe I'm onto something that will allow these things to flourish in the future. I mean, if I spent millions and millions of dollars restoring it right now, I would make, you know, a number of people happy in the aviation community. But the bottom line is the rest of the world, if another Lancaster's flying, no big deal. So, you know, if people seriously want to get another one flying, help the guys in England, you know, look at the guys up in Canada that potentially have possibilities of doing there. I'm focusing on a bigger concept here. And, you know, in this society today, we tend to, you know, eat technology like popcorn. Everybody wants something now. And if I got this flying, the next comment would be, oh, when are you going to get the B-29 flying? So I want to focus on, and it's not about me getting it flying in my lifetime, it's creating a concept of where in the future your great-granddaughters can watch these things fly and stuff. So that's really what I'm focusing on. I appreciate what everybody's doing in the existing industry, but I'm trying to do something that'll transcend beyond what we're currently doing and create a concept that not only blows away the aviation enthusiast, but literally touches the rest of the planet. So in the long run, Fantasy of Flight's not so much about airplanes, it's about flight of the human spirit. So bear with me. If nothing ever happens and Kermit doesn't realize his dream, at some point, more than likely, all this crap's going to go out on the market. So that's that. So we'll see what happens. But as long as I'm hanging around, I'm going to be focusing on my big dream, what I feel is part of my mission here in life. So, and I would expect everybody to at least consider what I live my life by. Number one, be true to yourself. Number two, follow the things that lead you beyond yourself. And that's what I'm doing with Fantasy of Flight. So out for now, hang in there.